Yeah, China government has never really been fair to Tibet.
The Chinese government maintains control over the whole legal system. They bend the law to suit themselves. Plus, their laws can seem unfair and cruel. Because of the lack of responsibility from the Chinese Communist Party, officials are let off the hook for many things. They can even be let off the hook for abusing other humans. Today we will be talking about human rights violations in Tibet and how the Chinese government does not treat people in Tibet as equal-class citizens.
While many people focus on other issues in China, no one seems to notice about Tibet's history when going to Tibet. NBC's investigator Jesus takes us inside Tibet and China to learn the truth about human rights.
Stay tuned to get the inside scoop of Tibet. People in Tibet are stripped of their rights and ignored like prisoners. Tibetans are not free to protest or openly speak about their situation, even peacefully. People have gone to prison for peaceful acts. Such actions, like waving a spent flag, can put them in jail, and in jail they are tortured.
So this means that prisons in Tibet are filled with people who simply express the need for freedom. Released prisoners have been interviewed and explained why they were free, electrified, and starved. Even though many Tibetans have known nothing else in their life in a corrupted society, the way they live is unbearable to them. In a protest that started in March 2011 and is still going, people set themselves on fire to demand change.
In 2008, thousands of Tibetans have formed one of the largest protest groups in Tibet for over 50 years. The incline in protest in Tibet in 2011 and 2012 has forced the Chinese to step up their security and military forces.
Such like in 1993, 77% of all executions were in China. Defendants do not usually have access to lawyers when in court, so their chances of winning a case can be fairly slim.
We are about to interview a young lady about how she feels on the children of Tibet.
But keep in mind that we have stuffed her shirt and lowered her voice to keep her identity hidden.
Hello, miss. How do you feel about a great number of Tibetan children who have suffered from torture from Chinese police, military, and other state officials just to get information that they might know?
Well, I think that is just outrageous! I've heard that to intimidate to get information or punish Tibetan children, authorities put them through beatings, whipping, and electric shocks. It's just sick and cruel, you know.
Yeah, that's great, Kelly. We all know that the police are supposed to keep the country at peace, also force Tibetan kids to stare at the sun, and that these Chinese officials will also torture kids psychologically by solitary confinement and forcing them to watch other people's faces.
Now, Sarah and I will ask people out and about their streets how they feel about their education and religion and language. Let's go! How do you feel that because Chinese has replaced Tibetan as the official language in Tibet, with Mandarin Chinese, the language is threatened?
Well, you know how secondary schools teach exclusively in Mandarin China and let you take tests to get into college are completely in Chinese.
And that China claims to invest time in Tibet, but the education of Tibetans remains extremely low? Yes. Well, even speak! It's okay! You will not get beat by military.
Well, even though I would very much like to keep Tibetan alive, I'm starting to wish that I sent my son to a Chinese primary school instead of Tibetan school.
Yes. I know how you feel. Good. Many Tibetan parents have told me that they are deciding to send their children to Chinese primary schools instead of Tibetan schools, so their employment opportunities are increased. Even if it does mean that their children will often not be able to learn Tibetan!
Back to you, Sarah.
Okay, Sophia, I've got a very ugly little boy here. In China, it is said that government provides free medical health care for all Tibetans. However, access to health care is limited in Tibet. There are not enough healthcare facilities, and when there is enough, the cost is too high. How do you feel about this?
The cost of healthcare also depends on where you live, and getting it can depend on the guardian's social status. You know? Well, I think that it's not very true. It's saying that you have free healthcare, but you have to follow these rules and do all this stuff.
Very good answer, you said. China's government goes out of its way to control all information in and out of Tibet. TV, radio, newspaper, and internet are strictly monitored. There is a humongous problem with censorship in China. Television and radio broadcasts based outside China are blocked in Tibet. Journalists who do not live in China are rarely allowed to travel to Tibet, and when they are closely chaperoned and supervised by Chinese officials. How do you feel about this?
I mean, like, go with the flow, man. Like,
That was a fantastic answer.
Buddhism is a way of life in Tibet. Monasteries and nunneries are kept under tight surveillance. Police stations are usually built nearby, next to, or inside these areas. Monks and nuns are regularly forced to do patriotic re-education programs. During these programs, they are forced to read literature degrading the Dalai Lama. Lamas are spiritual teachers and are often thought to be reincarnations of former lamas. Religious teachers who refuse to take part in the program often have their rights to practice as monks and nuns are taken away. How do you feel about this?
Fair. Fair answer. You want a very detailed answer right now?
That's a good answer. Now it's time for our favorite part of the news broadcast. It's called Jesus Quick Fire. How you play is Jesus is going to run around Tibet and ask people random facts about what they know about their country. Jesus has trained hard for this, so this should be good. Are you ready, Jesus?
Ready!
3, 2, 1.
Random fact!
it is estimated that 1 million tons battery killed from the Chinese.
It's good you know that.
Random fact!
Tibet used to be their nation until before the Chinese invasion.
It's also good that you know that.
Random fact!
The Tibetan plateau holds the world's largest store of fresh water.
Our last random fact!
After the Chinese invasion, over 6,000 monasteries were destroyed in the Tibet.
For those of you who don't know, monasteries are houses or places that hold community of people, especially monks.
Well, that concludes our special edition NBC broadcast.
Bye.
Give it to me!
Jesus, I've been looking for you! Yes!
Right violations in Tibet and how China government does not
Handle the guardian.
Don't make me hit you with my pocketbook.
Hello, Noah Thieves. Your girlfriend has been waiting for you.
I know. Just joking.
Mm-hmm.